Is live launching dead? Probably not, but it is changing. So today I'm going to walk you through some of the trends I've noticed in launching over the past couple of years, what I think it means for live launching in 2023, and a new strategy we're testing out right now to increase conversions and connections. Hi, I'm Brittany McBean, launch and funnel strategist and conversion copywriter. Over here in this weird little nook of the World Wide Web, you can usually find me teaching you about launching and funnel strategies that actually work today, right now, copywriting and messaging tips to help you really connect and convert your readers, and what it looks like to build a multi-six-figure premium copywriting business, because it ain't all sunshine and rainbows. As a launch copywriter who works with clients day in and day out, I have a really cool opportunity to keep my finger on the pulse and get real-time information on the market's reaction to marketing trends. Throughout our process with clients, we have a couple embedded things that we do that really help me tune in on what is going on out there in people's audiences. So in the first part of our project together, we do a really extensive research process where I'm getting out there and gathering data from their people through surveys, through cold audience data mining, like reading Amazon book reviews and scouring Facebook groups, all of that. And so really hearing from those people. We're also doing one-on-one interviews. And it is surprising how many times unsolicited people are mentioning their reaction to current marketing strategies and trends, even if they don't have the vocabulary for that marketing, even if they aren't inside the online marketing world, they are reacting to what is being thrown at them at mass. Sometimes they're responding really positively, and sometimes not so much. But then at the end of a client project, we get to do a post-launch debrief where about 30 days after an evergreen funnel is installed and enough traffic has gone through, or about 2 weeks after a launch and all of the data has been gathered, we're sitting down and looking at the cold, hard numbers. So we're looking at the conversion rates and the facts, and then interpreting what that may or may not mean for that client's copy, messaging, strategy, launch, funnel, whatever. So we can look at those numbers, their previous launch numbers, and kind of use that as anecdotal evidence to start making some hypothesis about what is working and why it is working. So I'm looking at individual clients' launches and audiences, but when I get to do that across multiple client projects every year, day in and day out, across multiple industries, these patterns start to rise to the top, and I really start to see what is working and what is not working right now for people when it comes to online marketing. Now, it is probably no surprise to you that the online course industry is booming and growing. You know as well as I do that the pandemic had a huge effect, very positive effect on the online marketing world. In fact, the online course or e-learning, whatever you want to call it, industry has been rapidly growing since 2015. It's been around since the 90s, but it has been skyrocketing since about 2015. What's really interesting is that in 2016, self-paced learning started to decline. So DIY courses, DIY learning started to drop about 6.4%. That sounds low, but that actually represents billions and billions of dollars. People were actually predicting that it would continue to decline all the way through like 2020, 2025, 2030, but when 2020 hit and the pandemic hit, we saw such a big burst in the online learning industry across the board that we also saw a huge burst in the self-paced learning course industry. So that started rising back up, but it has since started declining. So we are seeing that decrease in DIY courses and your consumers' interest in them. There's been so much conversation about the effects that 2020 had on the online marketing, online course industry, and what it did for our businesses. But how many of us has taken the time to stop and think about what it actually did for our consumers? According to a Forbes article, Google searches for online courses increased 100% between mid-March and mid-April of 2020 alone. Yes, we were making money, but people were consuming and searching for and buying online courses in a way that they never have before. In that same Forbes article, which is actually written in 2020, they predicted that the online course industry was going to be worth $325 billion in 2025 as compared to $165 billion in 2015. Well, in fact, the e-learning market actually crossed over the $315 billion threshold in 2021. So way, way, way before 2025. And the online course industry is now projected to grow an extra 20% every single year between 2022 and 2028. So that big spike in consuming of online courses means that we are now working with a more educated, a more saturated, and a more intuitive consumer market, which means it is likely true that your potential customer or that lead that you are marketing to has likely purchased an online course before. That may not have been true a few years ago. It is very likely true now. And with that decline that we're seeing in DIY courses, we can make the assumption that one, people have tried some sort of DIY learning experience or some sort of online learning experience. And two, they have probably figured out that DIY learning is not for them. If they're just looking for a tutorial or just a step-by-step, sure, go onto YouTube or grab an online course and watch that step-by-step. But if someone is looking for a solution or a transformation, they have already likely learned that just downloading information into their brain is not enough to get them from where they are to where they want to be. So if someone is not wanting to just download information, but they are wanting to be guided through a transformation, it is very probable that who that person is, who that guide is for them really matters. So to sum up, I think that online boom taught our customers, our consumers, our leads, our people that the DIY courses aren't always the best option for them and that you can learn from anyone and that isn't always a good thing. So that means that people are now wanting a more hybrid or high-touch approach, which doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be running a group coaching program, but it might mean that you might need to add some more support onto your DIY course option. If that's not for you, that's okay. This launch strategy may not necessarily be the thing that's going to skyrocket you or necessarily sell your program. Feel free to keep watching, but this may not be for you. But if you're interested in either increasing the support inside your program or taking a DIY course to a more high-touch program or taking your hybrid program or a high-touch or coaching program and actually having a launch that reflects that, hang tight. Because now your people have more options than ever and they need a way to make an empowered and informed decision. And you're going to give that to them. Think about it. If you're no longer selling a teaching-only course, why would you be doing a teaching-only launch? I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that the most popular launching style is the webinar style launch, probably followed by the challenge style launch, where yes, you can engage with your people, but the primary strategy behind that launch is you standing in front of them and teaching them something for a set period of time and then selling to them for a period of time after that. Here's a 30, 45-minute, hour-long webinar. I have taught you something. Now buy from me over the next 7 days. That's a launch strategy. But that ain't gonna work because your people have options and they need to know why you are better than the other person, not just a better teacher, but a better guide for them. And they might need more than just teaching and they might need more than just 7 days to figure that out. So for my clients that have a hybrid program or a program that has some sort of static content that lives inside like a course platform and some high-touch support, maybe they do some coaching, maybe they do some auditing, maybe they do some teaching, some calls, some live support, maybe there are workshops, or for people who just strictly have a coaching program, I am now recommending and testing out a more hybrid style launch. So this is a more experiential style launch with a more extended cart open, cart close time. So when I say live launch, I really do mean a true cart open, cart close, not an evergreen funnel where we have like a manufactured sense of scarcity and urgency and a deadline funnel and all these like tracking codes where they don't have this discount accessed anymore, but the doors are always open and your program is always selling in the background. I mean a true doors are open, come on in, cart is closed, sorry, we're not open right now, you can't buy right now, right? That is a live launch. So what I'm recommending is this experiential style launch where people have an opportunity to kind of come in the house, come inside your doors and test it out. Get a feel for what it is like to be in your world and work with you and have a little bit longer to digest that information and make that decision for themselves. So depending on what you offer, it would make the most sense to take what you offer and then find a way to share that with people in your launch. So depending on what you offer, you could do something like sharing a sample of a lesson or releasing a video lesson for like 72 hours. So just being like, hey, this is the style of teaching that I have inside my program. So you're letting them behind the scenes a little bit. Yes, it's still teaching, but it's still giving them access to what it is actually like to work with you inside the program. You could open your doors to a live coaching session. Maybe you're just letting them come in and watch. Maybe you're getting the consent from like 3 of your existing students to kind of have a more public coaching session, and you're letting people watch and observe what it's like to work with you as a coach. Or maybe you're inviting like a limited number of leads on your leads list going through your launch to come into this coaching session and inviting a bunch of people to come in and observe, like an open house style coaching session. Maybe you're offering some audits to the leads going through the launch, where if that's something you offer in your program, you're doing a couple of these, maybe some mini audits, or again, maybe a limited number that you're releasing to the whole leads list so they are getting a feel, and that's not information behind locked doors that they just have to hope that you're right and take your word for it. Maybe you're inviting them to another experience with you. Maybe you have a live experience, like a workshop that you want to invite them to. And normally this would be a paid event or only one open to your students, but you're going to invite them in for free just to see what it's like. So you are basically opening your doors and saying, hey, if I'm not the person for you, that's totally fine, but you have no way of knowing that just by watching a webinar. So why don't you come on in, see what it's like to work with me as a coach? Maybe ask me some questions, maybe watch me help somebody else work with them through some questions. Maybe I'm not a coach, maybe I'm just a teacher, but I'm actually teaching in real time, not just talking through some slides. Maybe I'm helping guide you through this transformation. Maybe I'm just an expert who is here to work with you as you work through this material. How can you show them what it looks like to walk with you through this transformation that they're really working on and want your support in? Now, when you do that, that's going to kind of naturally require you to increase your launch period of time, because let's say you're dropping a lesson as like a bonus for 72 hours. Well, now you need kind of 3 extra days to give people time to digest that. So that kind of like increases your launch by like 3 days, or I would recommend increasing it by 3 days to give them time to digest that material. Let's say you're inviting them to a live event or a live coaching session or a live teaching session. Well, they need time to get that on their calendar and to show up and get some reminder emails. So I would recommend inviting them like at least a week in advance. So if your launch is only 1 week long and they have to decide immediately on that live session, well, that's a lot of pressure. That may not work for you. If you are giving them an audit, they're going to have to submit. You're going to have to do it and turn it back around. You could take up to a month to do something that is a little more like open house style and a little more, here's my webinar, this is when the doors close, I hope you like me, bye now. And here's what's happening. You're not asking them to make a high stakes decision in a short amount of time. You are releasing the pressure valve, which allows them to then make a more informed decision, which makes them more confident in their decision, which decreases your refund requests, which allows you to have better students, higher student success, and ultimately more conversions, because at the end of the day, people make better and faster decisions when they are not pressured. And even if your program is only a short amount of time or a smaller investment, the stakes can still be high for them. If the transformation is hard, if they've tried other solutions, if this means a lot to them, if this is really, really important in their life, the stakes are still high. Of course, if it's a significant investment, well, the stakes are naturally high. But just know that for your people, if this transformation really matters, then this is going to be a difficult decision, because at the end of the day, they're saying, I am trusting you again. I'm trusting another person. I'm going out on a limb again after that free app didn't work, and that freebie I downloaded, and that Pinterest thing I downloaded, and that Instagram account I follow, and those 5 TikToks account I follow didn't work, and that other online course I bought didn't work. How much time and energy do I have left? Am I going to trust one more person one more time? That's a lot. That's a lot of time and energy for them, so that they need extra time to make that decision. So not only are you giving people more time to make a more informed decision, but now you're also doing a launch that is more representative of what it is that you're actually selling them, rather than saying, learn from me for 45 minutes, work with me for a year. But if you're saying, come learn with me for a couple weeks, or learn with me from a month and then work with me for a year, that's much more congruent. Now, here's the thing. I just gave you all of this information and a great idea that you can take with and run with it. I want you to steal my idea, go with it. But remember, I said at the beginning that I'm testing this out with myself and my clients. That means that I don't have the data. We're at the beginning of the year. We're at the beginning of me testing out this new strategy. I have a client that's about to launch using this strategy. I will start gathering data, but that first launch is anecdotal. That second launch might still be anecdotal. That third one, that might start being some evidence. So it's going to take a little bit of time to really understand how this is working. I have seen some other people doing similar launch styles like this, but I also don't have their data. I don't know how this went for them. It is so important to not just do something because somebody else is doing it. Because one, you don't know if it worked or not. And two, if it did work, you don't know why it worked, because it could have worked because of their very specific and unique industry that you are not in. It could have worked because of the email list of 200,000 people that they have been nurturing over the last 5 years that maybe you don't have yet. It could have worked because of their $2 million Facebook ads budget. It could have worked because of their team of 15 full-time employees. If you don't have the information, then don't just run after the next shiny object. If this sounds right to you, if you're like, how I've been taught live launching, this webinar or challenge just doesn't feel good, but this idea, that resonates, that feels good, then try it out. But if it doesn't feel good, don't just jump on the shiny object train, especially if you don't know if it did work, why it worked, or how it worked. So if you do try it out, please let me know, because I want to gather all the data. And of course, I will come back and report to you and let you know what I am seeing in the online marketing industry, in the launching world. And if this is helpful to you, if you want me to talk more about just kind of like real-time things that I'm noticing, knowing that like it may not be all of the facts and all of the evidence, but that these trends are kind of shifting and changing how it is that we market, let me know. I'm happy to keep showing up and reporting what I'm seeing, but we got to know that this is still anecdotal evidence. So if this is interesting to you, comment below. Let me know what you want to learn, what you want to know, what it is that I might be seeing with either my own launches or my clients' launches that you're really interested about, and we can just continue the conversation. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, make sure that you have hit that subscription button and that little bell so that you get a notification every single time I post a video, and then I will show up in your inbox with my lovely face and my annoying voice, and we can just keep the conversation going. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.